Imagine walking through the halls of your high school on a chilly Wednesday morning in Cedar Falls, Iowa. The bell just rang. Backpacks are slung over shoulders. Sneakers squeak against polished floors. And the air smells faintly of cafeteria pancakes and floor wax. You're heading to class, half awake, earbuds in, when something catches your eye. Mr. Thompson, the school janitor, is standing near the trophy case, mop in hand, staring blankly at the floor. His shoulders are slumped. His eyes are red, and his hand trembles slightly as he grips the mop handle. You pause, just for a second. You've seen him every day for years. He's the one who waves when you walk in late, the one who quietly fixes the broken lockers and scrubs the gym floor after pep rallies. He's always there, always working, always invisible. But today, something's different. Most students would have walked past, maybe glanced, maybe whispered, but one didn't. His name was Aiden, 16 years old, junior year. Not the loudest kid in the room, but not the quietest either. Just somewhere in the middle. The kind of kid who notices things most people miss. Aiden slowed down, took out his earbuds, and asked the simplest question in the world. "Mr. Thompson, are you okay?" The janitor looked up, startled. He blinked quickly, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Oh, hey there, Aiden. Yeah, I'm fine. Just a long morning." But Aiden wasn't convinced. There was something in Mr. Thompson's voice, something hollow, something that felt like a man trying to hold himself together with duct tape and hope. Now here's the thing. Most people don't ask twice. We're trained to accept, "I'm fine," as the end of the conversation. But Aiden didn't walk away. He lingered. He watched Mr. Thompson shuffle toward the janitor's closet, shoulders heavy, steps slow, and something inside Aiden said, "Don't let this go." That afternoon, Aiden sat in the back of his history class, barely listening. His mind kept drifting back to Mr. Thompson. The way his hands shook, the way his voice cracked, the way he looked like he hadn't slept in days. He remembered something his mom once told him. People don't always cry with tears. Sometimes they cry with silence. So Aiden decided to do something most teenagers wouldn't. He asked around. He started with the lunch lady, Miss Carla, who'd worked at the school for over a decade. She hesitated at first, then leaned in and whispered, "His wife's in the hospital. Been there for weeks. Cancer. He's working extra shifts to cover the bills." Aiden's heart sank. He thought about how Mr. Thompson still showed up every morning, still cleaned up after hundreds of teenagers, still smiled, even when his world was falling apart. And suddenly, the janitor wasn't just a background character in the school's daily routine. He was a man, a husband, a fighter. That night, Aiden couldn't sleep. He kept thinking, what if that were my dad? What if no one noticed? This is where identity shifting comes in. Aiden didn't just feel sympathy. He felt connection. He imagined himself in Mr. Thompson's shoes. And that shift sparked something powerful, the need to act. Because here's the truth, empathy isn't passive. It's a call to action. The next morning, Aiden walked into school with a plan. Not a grand gesture, not a viral stunt, just a quiet idea that could ripple outward. He pulled aside 3 friends, Jamal, Lily, and Mateo, and told them what he'd learned. They didn't hesitate. They didn't ask for proof. They just said, "Let's do something." And that's how it started. 4 teenagers, 1 janitor, and a mission to remind him that he wasn't invisible. The next morning, Cedar Falls High felt different. Not because of anything obvious. No announcements, no assemblies. Just a quiet shift in energy, like something meaningful was about to happen. Aiden and his friends met in the library before first period. They didn't have a blueprint, no adult guidance, just a shared conviction. Mr. Thompson deserved better. Jamal suggested they start with a letter, not a complaint, something more personal, a story. Lily offered to write it. She had a way with words, and her dad was a journalist, so she knew how to make people feel something. The letter told Mr. Thompson's story, not just the hospital bills and long hours, but the quiet dignity he carried every day. It described how he'd once stayed late to help a student find a lost retainer, how he fixed the broken heater in the art room without being asked, how he always smiled even when no one said thank you. They printed copies and slipped them into teachers' mailboxes. No signatures, no credit, just truth. Then came the fundraiser. Mateo had an idea. Friendship bracelets. Simple, colorful, handmade. They'd sell them for $2 each and donate every penny to help Mr. Thompson's family. Lily brought in beads and string. Jamal recruited volunteers. Aiden made a flyer that read, "Hearts, help us help a hero." Every bracelet supports Mr. Thompson's family. They set up a table near the cafeteria. At first, it was slow. A few curious glances, a couple of sales. But then something shifted. A teacher stopped by. Then a senior football player. Then the principal himself. By the end of the week, they'd raised over $600. But the money wasn't the most powerful part. It was the conversations. Students started talking about Mr. Thompson, sharing stories, realizing how much he'd done for them, quietly, consistently, without ever asking for recognition. And that's the thing about kindness. It's contagious. Once you notice it, you start seeing it everywhere. Aiden watched all this unfold with quiet pride. He didn't want attention. He didn't even tell his parents. But he felt something shift inside him, like he'd stepped into a version of himself that was braver, more aware, more human. This is identity shifting in action. Aiden wasn't just a student anymore. He was a change maker. And once you taste that kind of impact, you can't go back. It was Friday afternoon when everything came to a head. Mr. Thompson was mopping near the science wing when the principal approached him. They spoke quietly, but students nearby could sense something was happening. Later that day, Mr. Thompson was called into the office, not for discipline, not for complaints, but for support. The principal had read the letter. He'd seen the fundraiser. He'd heard the stories, and he wanted to help. He offered Mr. Thompson paid leave to visit his wife in the hospital. He promised to review the school's support systems for staff. And he made one thing clear. Mr. Thompson mattered. When Mr. Thompson walked out of that office, his eyes were wet. But this time, it wasn't grief. It was gratitude. He passed Aiden in the hallway and paused. "I don't know what you did," he said softly. "But thank you." Aiden just smiled. "You've done a lot for us. It was time someone did something for you." That moment was quiet. No applause, no spotlight, but it was seismic. Because here's the truth. Real change doesn't always come with fanfare. Sometimes it's just one person noticing, one person caring, one person refusing to walk away. And that's what makes it powerful. The following week, Mr. Thompson took a few days off to be with his wife. The school felt his absence, not just in the cleanliness, but in the spirit. Students left notes on his closet door. Teachers mentioned him in class. Even the football team dedicated their next game to the man who keeps our halls clean and our hearts full. When he returned, something had shifted. People greeted him by name. They held doors open. They said thank you. And Mr. Thompson? He stood a little taller, smiled a little wider, moved with a quiet confidence that comes from being seen. Aiden never told anyone how it started. He didn't need to. The impact spoke for itself. And here's the message we all need to hear. You don't need a title to lead. You don't need permission to care. You don't need 1 million followers to make a difference. You just need to notice. Because sometimes, the most powerful question you can ask is, are you okay? If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Like this video, share it, subscribe to Kindness Stories. Let's keep reminding the world that compassion isn't weakness, it's strength. And if you ever feel invisible, remember, someone out there sees you. Someone like Aiden. Or maybe someone like you.